Dan, you've been involved in social change for some time, and certainly communication technologies for some time. What do you think is the relationship between social change and certain sorts of technologies, or is it quite complicated?
Well, it's definitely a two-way relationship. I think simply there's probably certain kinds of technology that fit certain kinds of values, really. You know, that work better with people who want to do stuff horizontally, who want to do stuff collaboratively, and genuinely want to resist the aggregation of power in certain places, limited places. So, yeah, I think there's some really great studies by a guy called Jeff something, who did a really good embedded study of social movements. You know, he's quite a geek guy, he understands technology, but he actually hung around with some of the people doing the social change. In fact, you know, did an embedded study of what they use stuff for and how they used it.
And what would be your understanding of social change? To put it round another way, if somebody involved in communication technologies said, give me a bit of an idea of what we mean by social change. Yeah. What are people doing? Because I haven't quite got a map. Is there a general sort of agreed set of activities or values?
Well, I suppose everybody sees that differently. For me, it's a power thing. I think the change that I hope to see is one where people who currently are pretty disempowered from doing anything about their situation regain some power to do something, and that's almost certainly going to be by getting together rather than through the formal institutional framework. So for me it's about people getting back some power to do something about their lives on the basis that it's people themselves who probably know best what their most immediate needs are. The symptom of that is stuff actually changing, you know, real results, rather than a lot of discourse. Conversation is at the centre of social media. We all know, we read the Clue Train manifesto, but for me, the symptom that that's actually making a social change is when stuff actually happens, when there's new kinds of distribution of money. I mean, Kiva loans or something. When there's new kinds of health services, when there's new kinds of solutions to living, when there's new kinds of ways of generating social capital, if you believe in that term. You know, people feeling a sense of well-being and a sense of happiness in their community. That's the way we can know if it's working or not. And the thing that agitates me about some of the conversations around social media is how you get that explicit value set into the scene. A lot of people talking about social media seem to share a sense that it's part of the answer, but to me it's a very ambivalent thing. Social media is, I really believe in it as a tool for the positive social change, but I also believe it can be used in all sorts of other ways. You know, you can have racism 2.0, repression 2.0, and I'd love to find a way to talk about this stuff alongside its kind of ethical values in a way that doesn't get, isn't a new ideology. I mean, I'm not looking for a new, the social web party or the social web manifesto. But we need to understand the deeper social values we're talking about.
And if this is about shifts of power, as you say, that's going to be uncomfortable for power holders in certain circumstances.
Yes, it is. Well, it already is. I mean, you reminded me what my other test of social media would be. You know, what's another symptom that social media is actually making a social difference? Is when people start to get arrested for doing it. And that's obviously a very marginal case, particularly in our social context. But it's certainly happening globally. It's certainly happening. You know, the dead sure sign that this stuff can really make a social difference is the fact that bloggers are getting put into prison, people are getting put into prison for putting stuff on Facebook, and that's terrible. And yet, it kind of shows, well, two things really. One is, this stuff really can make a social difference, otherwise they wouldn't care. The authorities, the people who want to keep the status quo going. And two, the authorities and the people who want to keep the status quo aren't just going to sit there and let this happen. And another concern, again, that I have a little bit about social media, in my frontline kind of way, is that this stuff isn't a sort of just a random given. It's a historical accident. And I've been to the World Summit on the Information Society, I've been to the Internet Governance Forum. There's lots and lots of high-level bodies sitting around going, who let this internet thing happen? And how on earth are we going to stop it? See, that's really what they're doing. So I would love people who are involved in pushing the boundaries of social media to realise that the dogs are after them.